So today I'm going to talk about, from a cricket point of view, how you can actually use this time so that when we do revert back to playing, you're still feeling comfortable and confident about your own game. Now for me, there's four main areas, and the first is fitness. And to be fair, there are so many videos out there at the moment of cricketers working on their fitness, some really unique ways of doing it as well. So there's plenty out there, and I'm sure you're all doing that, and it's a great thing to do in the off season anyway, in terms of your preparation. The second part is that hand-eye coordination side of things. Some of you might be playing video games. Some of you, I see you've got the golf ball out, bouncing it on a wall, catching balls. Some of you, if you've got a backyard, you can throw balls around, you can juggle, you can do whatever you can to basically keep yourself active and not sedentary. And that's important as well for your mind, as well as it is for your hand-eye coordination. I also see from the videos online that Washington's using his living room as a net area, and he's obviously got someone throwing balls to him and able to keep hitting balls. So that's another way of keeping your hand-eye coordination going. What I would suggest for most of us is for a period of time, whether it be a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, put your bat and gloves down and actually, focus on the other stuff that is obviously far more important at the moment, so that when you revert back to your game and trying to look at it objectively, whether it be on video or visualizing or whatever, then you're actually in the right frame of mind to do so. So once you've had a period of rest, then you can come back. And for me, the most important thing is you think about a moment in time where the game felt easy. So from a batting point of view, you felt like you were in great balance, you felt like you saw the ball well, you moved late, you got in good positions, and you would have had a number of times throughout your career where you felt that way. So for me, you identify that, and therefore that's when you actually watch videos of those times. So you're reinforcing the good moments and the times where things felt good, they felt natural. The reason why I talk about being natural is that often as a cricketer, a professional cricketer, if you're on tour, you're focusing on the next game or the next series or the next tour. And therefore your game, you're constantly tweaking and you're constantly tinkering with your game from day to day. So at the end of a tour or whatever, your game can be quite manufactured. It can be quite rigid and many ways mechanical. So that's why we want to use this time to try and revert back to something that's natural. So once you've identified that moment in time where things felt really good, then you can start to watch video. So you're actually starting to reinforce a lot of things that are good about your game. So you can identify some shots or some innings that you played where you balance and you set up and everything felt great. And then I think it's, as I said, it's a matter of watching it, trying to remember the positions that you got in and how it felt to get yourself in that situation. And for me, it's mainly about the setup. As I said, knowing that you're in a good, strong position and you're making good, dominant movements. That's where, from a coach's point of view, it's so important that you don't try and clone players. You actually understand and realise that every player is different. They all stand slightly differently, they all pick the bat up slightly differently, and they respond, they have different trigger movements. So that's why it's so important that players can watch themselves, they can identify what are some of the really good things that they're doing. Like, this is how I felt, this is how I tapped my bat this amount of times, or I held it up. My prelim movement was back and across, or it was a small prop forward. Regardless of what it is, it's what's natural to you. And the advantage of having a period of time away from the game is you can revert back to what felt really good and then come back to that natural feeling so that you can repeat it. Because our game is about being repeatable. So once you've watched those videos and you've got back in that moment in time where things felt great, it's then starting to reinforce it. Now you can reinforce it many ways. Because we all, once again, are different. Some of us need to hit balls. So we need to get that feeling, that kinesthetic feeling of hitting balls, and it's starting to feel natural again. As I said, some will watch videos, some will look at their journals in terms of things that they've written. The other side of things is visualization. It's a matter of getting in that setup, making sure that you're getting in your setup, you're making your preliminary movement, you're watching balls, you're actually visualizing the ball coming down at you and the movements that you make. And for some people, that's a really good phase in terms of making that step between video, practice at home, and then heading into a game. So for some of us, that's a great method as well. So going back to those four key points we talked about in terms of using the time wisely, the fitness side of things, you've got plenty of examples to look at. The hand-eye coordination, be creative in terms of how you do that. It doesn't necessarily have to be with a cricket bat and ball. Find something that keeps yourself active. From a technical point of view, as I said, think about, rather than going through all of your faults and picking your game to pieces, identify a moment in time where it felt great, and then we're trying to repeat that and we're trying to make it natural again. And lastly is once you start to understand your own game, you can start to apply it in your own way in terms of how you're going to use that method to close the gap in terms of practice heading back into the playing phase. So hopefully today I've given you something to think about, and you're starting to use this time in isolation as best you can. But best wishes, take care, and look forward to talking to you soon.